Hey guys, it's Jeff from TFF here, just doing another deck profile for the Winner Box event. We have another top four finalist here, Matty Tung. You might remember him from the channel years past.
Hey guys.
And yeah, take it away.
Alright, awesome. So I was playing Macro.
Macro? This guy.
Macro stun. So, I mean, I thought of you, Jeff, when I was making this deck, honestly. So the story was I stayed up till 3 a.m. yesterday just before making this deck, and I was cooking on ideas. I originally wanted to play like a Rain deck with Bird and the Mighty and like Black Garden and stuff, but didn't have the motivation to build the deck, but I had the motivation to build this deck, so I'll start off with the
Fair
deck.
enough.
So monsters, yeah.
Yep.
Pure Kaius. Obviously, one of the best cards, just trades really well. And you've got triple Battle Fader. So many times this saved me in game 1 against Ramona, where it went into time and I had triple Battle Fader in hand.
Yeah.
It just honestly, it's a game saver. Like, you having that with Cyber Valley, Kaius's, you name it, if your opponent's Cyber Valley, it's just way too good not to play triple of this. Triple Breaker. I love this card so much. Now, we honestly, we talked about this card a long time about its trade value. Every time you summon, your opponent's going to cringe.
Yeah,
you're going to think about, oh shit, do I activate them? Yeah, they're going to activate the bottoms. But it's like, oh, they've got other cards. It makes them second think about, second guess what they're going to do next. Because this is going to take something out. And then next, Triple Snowman Eater. This card, again, we talked about, playing Spy over this and other things, but I just wanted something to equally trade.
Yep.
Every time I set it, it's always going to take something out, has a solid defense, good survivability. If it survives, I can obviously tribute it with Kaius and stuff as well.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. Double DD Survivor. Now, I hate the card at 3. 2's just enough. And given that it's a macro deck, exactly what it needs. I never really, not once today did it really sort of come back. I think only once. So every time I had no macro or D-fish, it sort of just died at some point. But you put in work either way. It's solid stats. So triple Cyber Valley. This card, I had no regrets playing this card. It's such a good card. Opponent has a Cyber Valley, mind control, brain control it. You just sort of hold on to this in your hand and will capitalize on stealing the monsters and then getting pluses. Otherwise, you could just sack your DD Survivor, your Snowman Eater and all that, and get some and start digging for answers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the worst case scenario is you actually just summon it, pass, let them attack into it all. The worst part about this card is obviously it's a machine. Cyber Dragon's a thing. You got to be careful with that, but you don't really have to worry too much about it if you've got D-Fish or Macro.
Absolutely. Because they can't counter attack it. So
that's only its only major weakness, but really good card. Have to play. Next, Lucky Last. New Special Grand Mole. I think it was against cheating. Game 1. I just sat on this for a good few turns and start poking and wailing at you, and it just does a lot of pressure. It gets rid of problem monsters, got rid of Ab-Zero, so I wouldn't cut this card. Right, spell lineup. So we've got triple D-Fisher. I always like 3 D-Fisher just because
it's
the minute,
immediate.
Yeah, you chuck it down and then you know for certain they have to play around it. If they're playing a graveyard, base deck like Amaryllis, they're going to have to dig for cards to out this card, right? Got Rhoda. This one was interesting. I honestly, after playing today, the only valid targets I really had was main decks was the Survivor.
Yeah.
I didn't main the DD Warrior.
Yeah, it's actually very strange. No DD Warrior ladies in the main.
It was interesting because I most of the time sided this out anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me having to dig into to Rhoda it. So I'm like, I think this was a bad choice today. Just thinking that I'd have to change the ratios and just because it wasn't really warrior based, to be honest. So this is the only card I second guessed. I'd probably play Cyber Dragon.
I mean, if you were for example, right, instead of DD Warriors, if you were DD Survivor, sorry, if you were playing DD Warrior Ladies instead, you probably wouldn't have hesitated about reinforcements because that just nets you a potential out card.
Like, I thought about other things too, because like, you know, obviously like Mystic Swordsman level 4, level 2.
Yeah.
And then or Sasuke Samurai, and then playing it with
What is this, goat?
Yeah, well, I mean, technically it still puts in work in Edison because you've got D-Fisher up.
Yeah.
And you rode a Sasuke Samurai or Mystic Swordsman, and you hit a Raiko.
Yeah.
It's not going to flip. It's going to be banished.
Yeah, exactly.
You attack a Snowman Eater, it's gone.
Actually,
so it puts in a lot of work. So I missed playing Rhoda at obviously 2 when it was in Go, but you searching for answers to, you know, get rid of like basically getting a monster form of a what do you call it? The spell card, that one that.
Oh, knock.
Knock, yeah. So you're just getting a monster, but you applies pressure. You can search it, so it's pretty good. And then we've got Mind Control. Obviously, this is and Brain Control, the 2 main cards. They're the only ones that you could really steal with. I did think about Econ. I did actually cook on Econ for a very long time too, maybe 1 or 2 copies of it. Because you could still play it with a face-up Survivor, steal a monster. You could do a lot of things with it.
You could do it with the Battle Fader.
Yeah, correct.
Could even be with
you could steal it for game and then just...
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of... Maybe I have to trial it out. I'm just not too sure, but this maybe wasn't enough, being that I'm playing, you know, triple Cyber Valley. But, you know, it's good cards, so...
Yeah.
Next, traps. So we've got triple macro. Double macro, sorry. I cited the third. Macro is a card where you sort of have to chain it. You sort of let them play it out there. Like, you just sort of have to respond right in the right times to play this card.
Yeah.
So slower because it's a trap, right? Got SJ, TT, double bottomless, Mirror Force. I've got triple Deep Prism. Now, I was on the fence about playing 2, but I thought, like, I might as well be able to trade more in this deck. So I needed more things to protect what I have, because this deck isn't particularly aggressive. It's more reactive and sort of passive, and capitalizes on the opponent sort of being greedy and stuff like that. So this did trade really well. I didn't regret playing 3.
Okay.
And then we've got obviously it's a stun deck, so I played Oppression. You love and hate this card. I say that because if you've got scenarios where you've got like Starlight Road, and it's just you're gonna hate yourself. But I mean, obviously, if you're winning and you flip this when they do, I did it so many times on return. That, you know, Ramona flipped the return and then I did that, and then she just sort of like stops. Otherwise, they would have won the game. Like, you have to kind of play this because you don't really.
Just imagine that moment where your DD Survivor is just banished and he's about to return, and you just roll oppression it.
Yeah, but it's still the same end phase. Doesn't it just keep coming back?
No,
isn't it?
Because end phase is one and done, versus like standby phase doesn't actually end until you choose to. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So that's the issue.
That's the only other issue. I mean, again, I was thinking about maybe playing 1 and siding the second. I could do that still.
I think that's
probably the better choice, because like a lot of IU turbo players are only playing 1 main, siding the second. But tried it out. You know, love-hate relationship. And then you've got Big On Nave, your favourite card, Joe.
Hey.
2 was enough. This deck with the breakers and the Caiuses are just so good. Like, I think when I was versing Sean today, and, you know, I made him like think really hard about his plays with the breaker, and he had to out it because he didn't want it going back to hand. He just eats up so much advantage just going back. And even the Caius is kind of nice because you get to play it again. And if your opponent's winning and you flip this and they've got monsters on board, it'll make them think about not overcommitting.
I mean, basically is it like I've been on this card for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because it changes the way you have to think about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, because like your opponent doesn't ever see this like come up, and they don't understand that like if I inflict damage to you, my monster's going to bounce back. Same with Fires from Red.
Yeah.
So it's just, if they attack, it's sort of like Grand Mole. They're going to have to lose a monster, go back to hand, start again from square one.
And it's only when it inflicts damage, so even on the defense.
Yeah.
So
even with a Snowman Eater, if they attack with an 1800 monster, attack the Snowman Eater.
Yeah.
So it goes back to hand. You
just set it again.
That's
crazy.
Another reason why I wanted to play Snowman Eater over like the
Spies.
The Spies and the Ascendant. Yeah. I'm just like, you could reuse your Snowman Eaters and just keep trading. But yeah, it's definitely pretty MVP of the deck. And lastly, Double Road. This deck just has a lot of back row. You're afraid of things like Heavy Storm,
Black Rose and stuff.
Yeah, Black Rose especially. And then trying to like clear your board and then not allowing you to, have your win con, right? So this is going to stop them from doing that, and also you can overextend. You can go into TT and Mirror Force safely, knowing that you can swing at them, and then just don't worry about that. So it's your insurance policy. It's really good. Okay, cool. I'll go to the side deck, I guess. So I was on...
No extra?
So, yeah, we'll just do side deck, and I've got an extra deck, but hardly used it. So MST. Again, I was thinking about maining it, but I'm like, main deck does enough already in terms of value, and I'm playing Wet Breakers.
Yeah.
So this was only for people who are playing like Decree and, Game 2, just the extra... I wasn't even playing Heavy Storm or Trino.
Yeah.
Knock. For people who are playing a lot of set cards like Ryko, I was playing Light Swan today.
Because that's usually when you're going... That's kind of like a going second type side in.
Yeah, you don't want it when you're first, but likely that they're trying to set up and then set a Ryko. Even versus you when you were playing the Snowman Eaters, I want to get rid of it. I don't like Snowman Eaters. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Double Chalice. So I was doing a few play test hands yesterday when I was making the deck. I originally wanted to main this. Hated it. Mate. I was like, what does this do? Apart from, like, you can do, obviously damage to with Rykos, it's fine. But I didn't really, it didn't trade. It just sort of did nothing apart from boost. And you wanted to just negate the effect.
Would you have preferred it was like Fiendish Chain or something?
Honestly, Smashing Ground.
Smashing Ground's
more fan favourite or Shrink.
Yeah.
Those cards just win you games a lot more. This doesn't really trade. It just stops the play, but the monster's still there. So it's okay. Like, I only wouldn't put it there for the brokers. The third copy of Macro.
Yeah.
Didn't need 3 copies in main deck, but given that today a lot of people are playing graveyard-based decks, I always started in the third copy anyway, just to see it more.
Yeah.
And double Trapstone. I misplayed against you with it. I hated myself, but I obviously, if I played right, obviously this card does, right work right. I was more so worried about Chain Burn or anything that's playing some sort of like a trap heavy deck. You don't really want to lose to that, so Trapstone's going to help you. Dark Bribe. Not sure whether I want to main this, but Double Road is like, it does the job, but this I just put it in against extra. I wanted to like negate something major players.
Yeah.
Now my monsters for my side deck. This was interesting. So obviously this was mained, so I sided it. Most of the time I would take out, say, the Snowman Eaters and put this in. So again, in its place, it still manages to trade in the same sense. Really good against plants, just anything that obviously needs their cards to resolve in the graveyard, like floaters as well. Double Foster Diner. Thought about maining this. This is obviously the card that I'm well known for. But it's very weak in this deck. Obviously you've got a lot of protection, but I'm not playing Fiendish Chains in mains. Not sure. But yeah, I did. It put in a lot of work today. I sided it in and against Light Swarm, set it. No, it was against. Was it Light Swarm? And then I set it, and then it just popped like 4. I just miraculously just went off.
Just against Nathan?
I think it was against Nathan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just nice for that extra effect. And again, I'd side in, side out the Snowman Eaters, and actually put these in because it actually hits more. especially when you're playing plants and that sort of
Yeah, certainly.
This card, I wanted to main it. It's like MVP, I swear. Same reason why Dragons recently have been doing so well. This card, I locked like 2 of his face down cards, which I thought were Raikou down. But it buys you time. The main thing is this card deals with problems really well. It gives you another full turn. They can't attack or change the battle position if it's face down until the end of their next turn. That's a long time in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially in Edison. Obviously, you can't complain with its stats, 8800. You know, it was a weird scenario where Nathan did Rival Rewards and they had water monster access to water. I summoned a second one. I was like, I'm okay with that. But yeah, that's the side. I'll go to the extra deck.
Did you even make the extra?
I mean, apart from Stardust, what, like once
That
or
doesn't
twice?
count.
That's
Like Starlight Road.
No, obviously, I had it there in case of my con and brain con still
okay.
a unit. What's it? But yeah, double Stardust, mixed rarities. Just needed to have that.
Because you need stacking rarities.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah, Armoriarm, Android, double Android's your favourite card. Tastal, Inquisitors, Bryo, Goyo, and you got Black Rose, Arcanite, because in case you steal Lila, Dark End Dragon.
That's such a niche
this one?
thing. No, the like.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a space filler. Like, you know,
Okay.
if it happens, it happens. If you steal a Lila, Lila's always around, so it's bound to happen. You got Thought Ruler as well, RDA, and this one. So obviously, you didn't go into a single one of them, except for Stardust when I wrote it. It's just scenario based, you know. Yeah, so that's the deck profile.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for your time, and congrats again on your top 4.
Cool, thanks.